Hi, this is Megan Osborne for the production Pros and Cons of Sexual Reproduction, Week 4 for Biology 103 Foundations of Life. Who and why of sexual reproduction? Who? Animals use sexual reproduction. Why though? They do this to keep their species alive. Sadly, every animal dies, and it's just a part of the life cycle. But the goal of sexual reproduction in animals is to maximize the representation of the individual's own genetic characteristics in the next generation, according to Neil Griffith Smith in his article Reproductive Behavior. The importance of sexual reproduction. Survival of species. Through sexual reproduction, a species has a higher chance of continuing in existence through new birth. As stated earlier, the end cycle of life is death. Without sexual reproduction, new life cannot be made in several species, and they'd all die out. The world as we know it wouldn't exist, and we wouldn't exist. The advantages of sexual reproduction. Genetic variation. This helps, quote unquote, offer a bigger gene pool, uh, uh, offsetting inbreeding and the complications that occur with that genetically. Illness immunity is more likely in offspring. Some genetic adaptations occur generationally to the species to help the species be less susceptible to certain illnesses. Survival of species that sexually reproduce. We touched on that earlier in the last slide and for the importance of sexual reproduction. Environmental adaptivity of species to habitat changes. Some genetics can change through time to help a species be more adapted to their environments. Think of how our wisdom teeth and appendix are not beneficial to us now. Research says that 1/3 of people are now born without wisdom teeth, according to Prestige Family Dentistry. The benefits of sexual reproduction in pumas. Did you know that pumas are classified as quote unquote near threatened? So why is sexual reproduction important for them? Pumas have multiple mates, which is great for them because this helps offer genetic variation for them, lessening inbreeding chances given there's more than a few main pumas. So like the more pumas there are, the more genetic variation there can be. Each pregnancy results in 1 to 6 cubs, but usually 3 is the number of cubs delivered. Their gestation period is about 90 days, and the more cubs that survive infancy, the more adults there will be that can reproduce, giving the puma population more genetic variation and stronger genetics. How can sexual reproduction be detrimental? It's costly to evolve. According to the Nature Journal, quote, an individual that produces sexually passes only half of its genes to offspring, whereas offspring produced asexually gets 100% of their parental genes. My second point is meiosis. Because meiosis is such a long process, it requires a lot of energy, and a mate is necessary to reproduce. The number of babies a female can have in its lifetime is limited because of meiosis. Possible genetic disorders. Diversity is great and can be an advantage to the species, but the risk of just genetic disorders can be higher. That's usually if two individuals with genetic traits that are too similar mate, though. Examples of how sexual reproduction can be detrimental. Let's start where we left off on the previous slide, genetic disorders. We'll look at humans for an example. Genetic disorders include risk of lower intelligence or intellectual disability, reduced fertility, lower birth weight, higher infant and child mortality rate, loss of immune system function, increased cardiovascular risks, fluctuating facial asymmetry, meaning both sides of the face won't be equal. We can see examples of this in the Whitaker family from West Virginia. Some of the family members are able to speak normally. However, there are a few family members that show intellectual impairments and are not able to communicate like normal people. Some members of the family also show facial asymmetry, and it's quoted by Mark Laita while documenting the family, quote, "Despite the fact that they don't complain, it's a really rough life. There are these people walking around, and their eyes are going different directions, and they are barking at us." So that's kind of more of an extreme. They have a long history of inbreeding. So the further down the line it goes, the more extreme the disabilities can occur. I have linked in my citations a link to where you can find them, or find out more information about the Whitakers, and they're my second bullet right here. Here's the rest of my citations and using to produce this presentation. Thank you for watching.